of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 10th, 2025, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspapers, the Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers-Kang, Ms. Colbath, Ms. Curry.
Here.
Mr. Knight. Here. Ms. Kotang.
Here.
Mr. Lopez. Ms. Morel.
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Here. Ms. Richter.
Here.
6 present.
The board will be convening to executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. The board will reconvene into public session at approximately 7:30 p.m. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Motion Rubino, second Curry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 10th, 2025, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspaper, the Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers-Kang, Ms. Colbath,
Here.
Ms. Curry.
Here.
Mr. Knight. Here. Ms. Kotang.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Morel.
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Here. Ms. Richter.
Here. The board convened executive session at 6:30 p.m. to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. Dr. Kravitz, will you begin by sharing the superintendent's report?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Zoom and in person. A few updates just to remind everyone of our district goals and our action plan of where we are. One of our first goal was comprehensively assess district facilities and grounds with the intent of developing a long-range facilities plan to provide the best environment possible for student learning and activities. So far we have convened the architect who will be making he started some walkthroughs already and developing the long-range facilities plan, which will then also include projections on future enrollment. They do an assessment of all the demographics of the area, including construction sites and anything else. We're also looking at our square footage of our facilities. And interestingly enough, I tell you, we have been looking at the last one that was done for the referendum in 2014 and the projections for 2019, which were done back then, are almost exactly where they are today. So we have hit those marks. The second goal that the district is working on is address the disproportionality of performance on standardized testing among the district's demographic group. As you know, we have engaged with Rutgers Center for Education, Dr. Fergus. He has been meeting with our staff, specifically our INRS teams, looking at how we identify kids and how do we take stigmas away from ourselves when we're looking at this stuff. This will develop an equity literacy lens to help identify and interrupt practices in at least correct areas of curriculum, design, discipline, gifted and talented, AP, honors, special education, and academic interventions that leads to equitable outcomes. So far we've had 3 meetings. Different subgroups have met with them from within our district. Third goal for the district for this year has been leverage district technology and other appropriate resources to increase community engagement and perception of Fort Lee Public Schools. We actually did our second mailing, in a long time in the fall. We will be doing another one within the next month and a half. As we gather our data, we know that the Fort Lee High School has a social media club that they have been working with our principals to get some videos out there, and we have increased our social media presence specifically from the high school, but we hope to add elementaries very quickly. Those are our 3 district goals that we have been working. Additionally, a big congratulations to Willie Lee. I know students are going to talk about Willie Lee, and they'll tell you how great he's doing as one of our students to be proud of. We also received an email recently regarding the outstanding performance for the high school marching band in the 2024 U.S. Bands National Championship, which we all know and celebrated, but that allowed us now to be promoted the open class for the 2025 season. So congratulations again to Michael Leone. Tomorrow night at our high school at 6 p.m. we are discussing our block scheduling. Please feel free to join us. We'll hopefully answer all your questions and do the best we can to move that in a positive direction. Tonight we have 2 students from our high school. They are Chloe Song and Sydney Kim, who can report on some positive news from our high school. So, they're on.
Students from Fort Lee High School, the Fortress, and the Peer Outreach Service team went to celebrate the holiday. Last month, students made gratitude turkey crafts and helped prepare apple pie and brownies for the Thanksgiving feast. Students also made sugar cookies and joined a holiday sing-along. These events foster strong bonds between students whose paths may not typically cross. In addition, these collaborations help build social skills, promote inclusion, and increase awareness of both neurodiversity and shared experience. We are so excited to share our time together. We hosted the annual Jack Riley Holiday Basketball Tournament where 8 teams competed in 3 games each. This tournament has been hosted by Fort Lee for over 30 years. Willie Lee, grade 11, auditioned and was accepted into the NJSMA Region 1 Men's Ensemble on clarinet. Willie will now be auditioning for all state bands on Saturday, January 18th at J.P. Stevens High School. In Mrs. Acosta's Spanish class, students created useful things that can help create less waste of recyclable and reusable materials or art of any kind to represent responsible consumerism, and then had to explain its uses in Spanish. Boys and girls winter track teams are the Big North Conference American League champions. This is the 5th consecutive title for the boys and the first time the girls have won since 2018. Junior bowler Jenna Yang broke the girls' school record with a high gain of 279. Senior Emilio Vasquez won the Kearney Wrestling Tournament and was voted most outstanding wrestler of the tournament. On January 15th, Fort Lee High School Post Peer Outreach Service team students made a positive impact at school number 2 by hosting an engaging and educational workshop for 4th grade students. The workshop focused on crucial topics such as digital citizenship, cyber safety, anti-bullying, and respect, equipping the younger students with the knowledge and tools to navigate both online and offline interactions responsibly. This event is a shining example of how Fort Lee High School students are taking the lead in creating a positive and supportive community, both within their own school and beyond. The POST program continues to demonstrate the power of peer-led education in fostering growth, understanding, and respect among students of all ages.
So just as an update to Willie Lee, he did compete over the weekend at J.P. Stevens High School, and he was accepted into the New Jersey Music Educators Association All-State Wind Ensemble and Orchestra on clarinet. This is the top honors group in the state, and Willie is now recognized as one of the top high school musicians in New Jersey in clarinet. So congratulations. We do have 13 HIV cases, of which 6 were founded. I wish everyone, because we will not see anyone for the next 2 weeks, a very happy Lunar New Year. And we do have a few administrative changes on 5P under transfers. The name Tiffany Manassi, I'm removing that name. And under 6P, Michelle Marciano. She is extending that leave until February. So on the unpaid leave, no benefits column, it should read 9/25/24 to now 2/28/25 with the return date of March 3rd, 2025. Those are the two administrations as well as the two walk-ins that we discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue, I'll just should I read the walk-ins so that if anyone, has questions about it, you can ask during board questions. So 6B and 7B will be walk-in residency resolutions. 6B reads, therefore be it resolved, the Fort Lee Board of Education hereby disenrolls the following non-resident student from Fort Lee schools. And that is student 857-358-8058, Fort Lee High School, grade 12. And 7B, therefore be it resolved that Fort Lee Board of Education hereby disenrolls the following non-resident student from Fort Lee Public Schools, student 358-316-9578, Lewis F. Cole Intermediate School, grade 6. I don't believe there are any committee reports, but are there any that we missed at the last meeting? Okay, moving on to board members having questions or comments on the agenda or any other topic. Questions on the agenda? We'll go with those first.
Just some clarification on 3B. On the 3B, one student in middle school that's marked 6th grade, that's an error, right? We have a student marked 6th grade under Lewis F. Cole. So that's probably an error. Is there any impetus to the jump in the intermediate school? That's almost a 10% jump when everywhere else in the district we're seeing a fall.
Hold on.
So their
Next column is 318 now.
By the way, I like I really appreciate the year-over-year comparison because it gives us a context
Looks like
on the enrollment level.
next column.
So it's appeared at the intermediate school there was a jump.
So I don't have the specific, but we see bubbles. And that's, that's a common thing in any school district, that you'll have more. I think our next group is the 3rd grade or 4th grade going into 4th grade next year, you'll see bigger classes.
Is it maybe the 5th grade coming in with a group of students, is that it? Into the new school?
Yeah.
Question. And then the next page, in-school suspension versus out-of-school suspension, can you define those two categories?
In-school suspension, could be detention.
Okay.
Yeah. And then out of school means you're out of school and based on the student handbook that defines every category, so matches some of our policies.
So is that just for the month of December, the number that's reported here, or is it year-to-date number?
That's the month of December.
Just month to I know that we don't have the data from last year, but again, going forward, if we have a context to compare with the previous year, it gives us a sense of the trend in the district. Same goes for the HIV. If we can just label that as month, is that also month to date number until January 21st? If we can just clearly label the period that these numbers
Sure.
are reflecting, that would be helpful.
Yep, as you saw, we're changing. So the state is asking more and more that you list your suspensions and also your enrollment. So that's why we're playing with, the report, so that gives more access to information, because we want
No, I really
transparency on.
it's much better than previous report. Just 2 comments, if we can add year over year to the extent that we can do it going forward, and just clearly labeling the period that we're reporting on that item.
Okay.
Under 2CUR, can you talk about how the program of studies, how is that revised each year, the time frame for it, so that if parents would want to have any input, how would they go about providing input?
It would come, so
For students?
So the process usually comes from the guidance director, who leads based on selection of classes. So if there's a constant demand for a class at the high school, we'll start to make sure that we're running that class. If we've had no requests for a period of time, then that class would be replaced. We have to look at teacher energy, meaning the ability to have the teacher teach that class. So if there was, let's say, a science class that someone wanted to offer, and we were at max with our science classes, that might hinder that decision to open up a new science class, because obviously we'd have to look to hire someone. In the program of studies, if you looked at the update of what we sent out to the board members, there was a sheet that indicated the changes that we made. Some of those changes are for classes that haven't been, no students have registered for them in several years. We added our shop classes. I would like to say that April 1st is our opening day for our shop, and if you'd like to come see it, let me know. We'll show you where we're at. They're painting it. It's a really nice orange and white building on that track. It looks great. But those classes are now in there as well. So as we add programs, and that has been one of my dreams, to add more of those academy type programs to our district. But we have to make sure we have the teacher energy to do that. So that's how we'll add those classes, as you saw with the teacher academy the same way, and now the shop classes.
Under 6F, can you talk about what is the purpose behind this proximity learning for foreign language?
Sure, we have a need for a Spanish teacher. We don't have a Spanish teacher. So the classes that we can support now with the online learning that we've seen with our biology class at the high school has worked well. Students are engaged. I know I have personally visited that classroom, and it seems to be working. One of the things that I've shared publicly is that our problem with specifically middle school and high school students, it's hard to find the specialized teachers in certain areas of content areas. So when we're looking at long-term, how do we solve the problem of leave replacement? And the reason why leave replacements are difficult to maintain is that you have a teacher who is certified, who is looking to come in knowing that they will have a certain amount of time. So we made a change in a date today, for example, on one of my administrative changes. So the person who's in that classroom currently, their contract usually ends today or will be ending, but now we told them, oh no, we need you for 2 more weeks. Now they could have committed somewhere else to another district, or they'll be looking for a long-term permanent position. So it's very hard. So the reason why we're looking at proximity, they are state certified teachers. They offer an opportunity to jump into a class right away. And as we look to the future for leave replacements, that might be an option for us to not, so far since I've been here, chemistry was a problem, physics was a problem, biology is a problem, the hard ones like that, and they have these certified teachers who can do it virtually.
So currently we have a Spanish teacher who is on leave.
Correct.
And this is to replace that.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other board members have questions?
I have one, and I love that we have the shop and everything. So 3CUR, and I probably totally misunderstand what the public notice is supposed to be about, but it's career and technical education. So I'm thinking we have our nursing, we have our teacher program, we have our HVAC, the shop. Why is AOF the only one that's being public? Because I would want to put out to the public all these amazing things that we're doing.
So that's the Perkins grant. So that's a Perkins grant. The Perkins grant falls into the CTE. That is more of it's required once a year to have the approval of that. The Perkins grant, the AOF fits into that category perfectly. And it's not a lot of money. It's approximately $23,000, I think we received from federal funding under the Perkins grant. So there's certain criteria. The shop would not fit into that criteria. So it's every year that your money's been earmarked for the AOF Academy.
Okay. Maybe for in the future, we just put pursuant to Perkins, because we have so much more career and technical education, and it looks like, well, the only thing is the AOF. That's what I thought when I looked at it.
Now it's because the Perkins grant is specific to what you can use.
Okay.
And that the AOF fits perfectly to that.
And as I understand from our discussion, 7F, which relates to a consulting agreement, despite the language in the contract that we're approving, that the role of that consultant is strictly limited to assisting our human resources operation in central office.
Correct.
That's it.
Actually, I have one quick question regarding 9F. Is that an annual, if you can remind me, is that an annual allocation that we receive from this program, Lisa?
was the ESSA grant.
So what happened here was they had an original allocation of salaries, and you'll see tied to the personnel agenda, there's salaries that shifted. So then the grant is, here's your original allocation, then here's your carryover. So this is the amendment. And when they did the amendment, each of the lines is there for you to nine up.
So the numbers might not be the same every year, but as a grant.
Okay, it is a grant and does it fluctuate from year to year that we have to change or we have to anticipate the change? Because the hiring happens before this.
So traditionally, you really don't want to put too many salaries into any grant because you know that number fluctuates. You have to pay a certain percentage of your FICA and things like that. So what you really want to do with any grant or any type of money that you receive specifically is use it for one-time costs that can take away from your operating budget. So, example, if you were to buy a bus with some of the money, I mean, that's what happened with a lot of the RFESA funds, right? People were buying things at a one time instead of the annual cost, so they could save the money. So that's why grants are very hard. You wouldn't really want to put too many. We have some salaries in our Title I grants, but we try to really not budget too many salaries that way.
All the grants that we get are based upon our data we give them, which is in your ASSA, and your demographics that we send over. And then from there, then you get your funding notice around June. So from the data we submit in October, we'll get whatever our funding notice will be, and for what we qualify for in June.
And I just 2 points in case people don't know ASSA,
Yeah.
that's your number of students every year. That's the most important report that we run in schools. By October 15th, you will tell what to the state of New Jersey how many students you have on your roll. That's what they ask. That's number one. That's important. Another data point that I think is really going to come up in the future when we talk about Portland public schools is that in the past, when we calculate free and reduced lunch, we would ask for parents to fill out the forms, and then that number gets checked and evaluated, and then we make a determination. And we've been running, if we watch the numbers, between 10 to 13% of our free and reduced lunch. Well, this year the state has changed the way it's been handled. So any student who qualifies for Medicare in the district automatically gets put into that pot. Medicaid, I'm sorry, gets put into the numerical value. So in essence, this year you will see our number go over 23%. So the number of students now who qualify based on that new calculation went from about 12 to 13 to 23%.
And that's from the state. The state
That's
is
from the
sending
state
you the list of.
sending us the list correct because now it's done by them, which is a very different, when we ask about who is a 4B student, just remember that now. It's different.
Can you just tell the public what ESEA, because they might not be familiar? And I was very remiss. I wanted to thank the board for being very accommodating to my personal schedule since October 22. I've tried to make it here in person as many times as possible, which hasn't been a lot, and I'm returning very soon to New Hampshire, but I really appreciate everyone and their good wishes and emails and support, especially from Superintendent Robert. Dr. Robert.
So the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, that's what that's what ESSA stands for.
The name ESEA replaced Title I funds. So if you've heard Title I, that's what that is, the same thing.
And that's
Just
federal
different
funding.
acronym. It's just different acronym, so same thing.
Just want to highlight that we're public retirement this meeting. They both served over 25 years, one to 29 years. I don't know either of them, but I want to thank them for their service. And it's incredible to imagine that you spend 25 years and 29 years of your life with any organization or with any community. 4P is Infante. I was hoping my kids would get you at some point, but they didn't get a chance, and now you are leaving our district. I want to thank you for your service and to at the intermediate school and also at school 3.
Any other board members before we move on to public comment? Okay, may I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion, Rubino, second, Knight, sorry. All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, we will hear first from any members of the public physically located in the cafetorium, and we will take questions from those participating remotely. Participants are limited to 3 minutes. Participants are limited to 3 minutes in which to make their statement. For remote public participants, please select the raise hand button. Mr. Ruggiero will recognize each community member in the order of raised hands. Please unmute your microphone, and everyone, please state your name and address for the record. Limit your comment to 3 minutes. Anyone here public in person who wishes to make a comment? Come on up.
Black coat.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Michał Komanescu, 254 Tom Hunter Road. So I have a kid with an IEP for a cancer diagnosis, and one of the accommodation is that he gets sick. In my case, for example, today, this morning, we sent out an email to the teacher, let her know that he's sick today. We called the school, the number on the website, press 1 bunch of times because it's busy usually. And we talk with whoever's on the other side of the line and let them know that they're sick, right? So later today, I log into Genesis, right? And what I see is that my kid is unexcused for today and all the other times that he was sick last semester when they didn't have a teacher in the class. So the question that I have for me as a parent, what does it take to get the child excused, first of all? The second question that I have, how do we correct this issue? Because I called in, I wrote emails, and I asked the school to accommodate the IEP and mark the child sick as it is. And the third question is, where's your policy in regards to truancy and how do you enroll unenrolled kids when it comes to absences? Because I wasn't able to find it. Once I logged into Genesis and I saw the unexcused absences, like first thing I wanted to know is like, what does that mean? So I started I started searching on the website for unexcused absences. I couldn't find anything. Then I started Googling for it, and it turned out that you unenroll kids for after a number of unexcused absences. So then go back to the website and try to figure out what's the policy in this district. I couldn't find anything. So this is the problem that I'm having, and I would like it resolved. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So the policy that we have that discusses student attendance is 5,200. If you go to our website, Board of Education, and it says board policies and regulations, you look at pull down and it will list everything, and you can type in the word attendance, student attendance, and will come up a list of them. And 5,200 is the policy that's related to that, 5,200.
Okay.
That's regarding your child, and I would just say with any student, whether you have an IEP or not have an IEP, the best form of action is always to contact the teacher first. But specifically with IEP students, there's a chain of command that we always recommend. You would speak to the teacher, if not the teacher, your case manager. If it's indicated, anything is indicated in the IEP, then there clearly should be an adjustment if that's the case for attendance.
So I did speak with the teacher. I spoke with the person that takes attendance, and they both said, okay, they didn't tell me that the kid is unexcused. So and this comes as a surprise for me as a parent.
So there's a board policy regarding attendance is 5,200, and that it will explain everything. And if you click on regulations, it gives you specifics as to what counts as an unexcused, what counts as a verified, what counts as an unverified, because there are different categories that the state recognizes. And we have a policy that the board has voted on and created that says after 2 days, if there's a doctor's note, then those will be counted excused. And
this was today and only today.
Excuse me, sir, if I may. Dr. Kravitz is, I'll say, intentionally being vague in response to your question, because while you have every right to publicly speak about your child, the Board of Education and the administration has a legal obligation not to communicate publicly regarding any particular student's situation. And so as Dr. Kravitz indicated, You can review the policy, 5200. Also reach out to the building principal and or teacher to further review this matter, but Dr. Kravitz and the board cannot respond about the particulars of your child's situation. Also, public comment, generally speaking, isn't a back and forth. You make your comments and questions, the board can respond if possible. Dr. Kravitz has, again, responded on 2 occasions, trying to give you some more insight and direction. But again, he can't go into any further detail regarding specifics of your child's situation, but the points are noted. I'm sure he will refer them to his staff, and it's been suggested that you reach out to the principal. Any questions, I'm sure you can contact Dr. Kravitz's office tomorrow, and they can help point you in the right direction.
And I'll have your case manager look into it as well.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say, I didn't think our superintendent was being intentionally vague. I thought he actually did a very good job of answering it, so I disagree with the lawyer, and I stand by our superintendent's effort to answer the question asked.
Agreed.
Anyone else in the public want to speak?
Sorry. It's okay. Do the best I can.
Yeah, no, good.
I'm back.
Oh.
Sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
So my name is Andrew Goodman, 326 Bridge Capital here in Fort Lee. So I assume they don't know what I'm talking about, my favorite subject, which is CPAC, which is Special Education Parent Advisory Council. We had our monthly meeting this past Wednesday actually, and we had a guest speaker. His name was Connie Griffith. He is the director of healthcare advocacy for the ARC of New Jersey. He was amazing. He gave an overview of SSI and Medicaid for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Several parents, there about 25 or so parents on the meeting. It was virtual. So parents requested that the presentation be posted on the website, which it is. It's on the homepage of the Fort Lee Board of Education website. So whoever did it, thank you very much. Also, for any reason, any parent, whatever they can't access it, you can email the CPAG at sepag@flboe.com. Okay, our next meeting will be in person, which will be on February 19th, right here in this room at 7 p.m. So we invite all the parents to please come, and also the board members, please, there are a lot of great things for. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for the administration for all that support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Keith Goslin, 2185 Lemoyne Avenue. Couple questions. I see there's a speaker series for 4F, and I know in the past, Dr. Kravitz, this is my first question for you. We've talked about speaker series possibly for the month of April, autism awareness. Is there anything been discussed about that subject at all, or is there something planned? The other things I wanted to speak about is this kind of an announcement to the town. Out of 800 families that got our CPAG survey, we only had a 4% response. We have seen a lot of new faces, probably over 100 different families, I would imagine, at each different meeting, but we'd like to increase participation. So please tell your friends and bring them to the meetings as well. And in May, we're going to be holding our CPAG elections as well, so there will be a need for new leadership too. So if you all want to help move this thing along, and Andrew, Cynthia, and I, and all the other parents working on it, if you want to be a part of leading it, please do join us next month and moving forward. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it. So as far as 4F, we used to get one more.
No, I just don't know where I'm supposed to go.
You can go wherever you go. Wherever you go, there you are. So traditionally, the department head will come in and present an idea. So it would come from the director of special services, who would present for a speaker series. So I can speak with her tomorrow morning and see what we can do for autism awareness. But this one comes from the Director of Guidance, talking about that. So as we get these departments that present their speaker series, that's how we get them. The same way that the superintendent sometimes creates them. So as I said, I will speak to the Director of Special Services and see what we have planned for April to make sure that we do have something in every building regarding autism awareness.
Cool. And I don't mean to start back and forth, but bus tracking, I forgot to ask that question. So I was just.
So we are evaluating, we are actually looking, you might see in the near future, some things that we're trying to do to make sure that we are using our buses. So we have a scan card. We were speaking about this morning. So students have a scan card that allow us to track where that student is when they scan on a bus and when they get off a bus. We're having a difficulty with some of the students not using the scan card for the bus. That's the first part. The tracking component is something different, but we've noticed also that some of our routes that we outsource with South Bergen Jointure, if you're not familiar with South Bergen Jointure, it is a district that's made up of several districts actually in South Bergen. They get together, they deal with a lot of special needs students, and they also do what's called outsourcing for the buses. So they will create the bus routes. When we send out for bid to them, they vet the company, they vet the bid specifications, and then they go and receive those bids. They accept the bids and then say this is the company that won that particular bid. In the conversations we had with them, even though they put in the bid specs that they want tracking, the companies such as First Student or John Leckie will not honor the bid if they are not capable of doing bus tracking. So in our conversations today, because we're doing budgets and how we plan our future bus routes and things like that to be efficient, the conversation was based on if we wanted that type of tracking, it would have to be our buses. We currently own 9 buses, and see how we can utilize them to do the special education routes. Because right now, they are not doing all of the special education routes. Actually, I think they're only doing in-district, building to building, but not out of district. So that's what we're trying to figure out. But we actually own a program that does it, that actually helped us with mileage last year. And so it has the capability of doing it. It's just finding someone to do that. But we're on it, still discussing it on a regular basis and trying to. We never quit, you know that. That's how we started CPAC.
We don't need it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Or we answer, yeah,
Oh, it's up to you.
relating to
Wait,
bus.
you would-
To the end.
I would bring it up under new business or old business or whatever. Old business, because we've talked about it for a while. Anyone else in public wish to say anything? Okay, Mr. Ruggiero, please, online.
Yusuf, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Fatin Youssef. I live on Kingsland Lane. I've been here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I've been here a couple of times online. I just want to say that my children attend Fort Lee Public Schools. In all their years of attendance, school has never been closed on the Muslim holiday of Eid. This is the first year, however, that Eid al-Fitr was acknowledged on the academic calendar. It states observed next to Eid al-Fitr, and we thank you for that. We are very, very grateful for that. Some members who I will not name have told me, look, it says observed, insinuating that we should be grateful. And another member has stated something else, insinuating that we can't have a holiday off for everything. And I understand. But we're asking for you to just please be fair for all people who observe this religion. If school is closed for Lunar Year, Rosh Hashanah, Christmas, Good Friday, then let it be closed for Eid as well. Honestly, not closing school for this holiday isolates the Muslim students. It creates anxiety, low self-esteem, makes them feel less than. I'm not going to go into explain all the details, but I wanted to make this short, as I've been asking for the board to honor this holiday as they honor other religious holidays for a few years now. Lastly, many, many, many towns, too many to be read right now, although I was planning to name the towns, but too many towns closed their schools on this Muslim holiday. I want to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank you for allowing Zoom to continue because it's freezing outside. Thank you for showing up. And I wanted to know what the plans are for this holiday so we can plan accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So we are looking at the calendar now. What usually happens, I present the calendar, I start to build it. I run it by the union and then discuss the number of days and where we're at. The number of days in a contractual calendar is limited by that contract. We usually build in 2 snow days. I know there has been some talk and people believe that snow days are no longer accepted. You can go virtual. That's not correct. The state does not recognize that. So we do build in 2 snow days. There are some districts that don't. Once we do that, we come up with as fair as we can with everyone, and we recognize all of the people, and we are a diverse community and continually changing, and we want to make sure we are inclusive of everyone's needs. So, but I will tell you, it's very limited when we talk about the number of days that we have. And statutorily, you cannot start school before September 1st, and you must end it by June 30th. So that's one of the things we always look at. But thank you again, and we take everyone's look at it. It's very interesting because we have to check everything 2 or 3 times, 4 times. We have multiple eyes on it, and yet we still make mistakes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say it's just one day in comparison to the other days. I know Lunar Year has 1 day. Rosh Hashanah has 1 day. Juneteenth is 1. There's a whole week for other holidays. I'm just asking for 1 day. And I know there are Muslim students in high school, middle school, and elementary school. So please, I'd like you to consider it. I know this can't be for this year, but please, for this coming year, like I said, it's like you said, let's just try to be equitable. Let's just try to be fair. I don't think 1 day is too much to ask.
Thank you.
Nancy, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Nancy Hatter, 2100 Linwood Avenue. So I'm going to piggyback off of what Keith said about the speaker series. Just from my perspective, my son's on the spectrum. He's 6 years old. We attended an event last week. He overstimulated, crying, and a girl around 12, double his size, laughing and making fun of him as I stand there. So, Autism Awareness Month comes in April, and I want to see what we can do to get a speaker, to get anything you guys can do for that, just to raise awareness, acceptance, because I'm doing my part, taking into all of these therapies instead of activities. He's doing his part, doing all of these therapies, occupational therapy, speech, all this extra private stuff we fight for to fit into society. But, it would be nice for parents to teach their kids how to be kind, just to be nice. But some parents don't do that. And it would be helpful if during that month, the schools can kind of help us out also, because he's doing his part to fit in. But we also need the kids who are not nice to also do their part. And I think if we start bringing more awareness that month from a younger age, maybe things will change, maybe they won't, but there's no harm in trying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no more raised hands.
May I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Colbath, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, moving on to resolutions. May I have a motion to approve items 1B through walk-in resolution 7B?
Motion. Second.
Motion Morel, second Kotang. Roll call, please.
Ms. Colback,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Kotang,
Yes, except for myself and 5B.
noted. Mr. Lopez,
Yes,
Ms. Morel,
for 5B.
And I abstain on my name on 5B.
noted. Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Richter.
Yes, and I abstain from my name on 5B as well.
And no, my name is on 5B as well, so I abstain
Yeah, noted.
myself as well.
Noted.
Just waiting for him to finish making his notes. Okay, may I have a motion to approve items 1 CUR through 3 CUR?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Rubino, second Kotang, roll call, please.
Ms. Colback,
Yes?
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight. Yes. Ms. Kotang,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1F through 9F?
Motion. Second.
Motion Curry, second Morel, roll call, please.
Ms. Colback,
Yes, and thank you for everyone in 2F, amazing amounts and donations, and keep them coming, and we'll continue to try to stretch every dollar too.
noted. Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight. Yes. Ms. Kotang,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yeah.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Ms. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 12P with the administrative changes on 5P and 6P as noted with Dr. Kravitz at the beginning of the meeting?
Motion. Second.
Motion Morel, second Curry, roll call, please.
Ms. Colback,
Yes, and a huge shout out and thank you to Christine Lepore, an amazing, amazing phys ed teacher, 25 years. And 3P, Ms. Casavel, 54 years total there that can't be replicated overnight. Thank you for your service, yes.
thank you. Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes, and on 11P, I'd just like to congratulate Miguel. He's a great guy. It's great to see him bringing his expertise to our district.
Thank you. Ms. Kotang,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Ms. Richter.
Yes. Okay, any old business? I know Ms. Kotang, you wanted to ask a question. Before we do that, I sent the committees to everyone. There are some that still need a few people to fill in. So, if you can respond preferably by the end of the week, if time allows, let us know if you're willing. And then we'll send out a final draft once everyone has responded, if you're interested. If you're not interested in any others, then you don't have to respond. Amy, you had a question?
Yeah, regarding the bus tracking system, we had in the past started looking at transponder.
Yeah, transponder.
Transponder.
We still have it.
Is that still happening or where are we with that?
So transponder is a program that offers, yes, tracking of the buses. It also allows us to calculate the actual mileage from like point to point, and that's what we were doing at the end of last year. So it has those two components to the program that we own. So that's the part we wanted to implement this year, but we're still going through a lot of other things with the management. So what we're recognizing now, as I said, is that those special education students who are getting bused out of district, that people are looking for the actual tracking, we don't run many of those routes. We're running, I believe, 2 routes. I don't have the exact number.
I'd say about 2 to 3.
2 to 3 in school, in-house, 2 to 3 district special education buses. Meaning if you're a student in school number 3 and you qualify for special education, the program that you need is at school 2, we will bus you. Those are what we're running. The rest are being run by outsourced agencies by way of the South Bergen Joint.
Right.
And that they will have transponder on them, no matter what we do.
So what about our in-house buses? Can we implement that? Or what is the time frame for implement? I was under the impression that we were going to implement.
We were going to, the assistant business administrator, the previous assistant business administrator was going to be doing that. We have a new one who will be working on a lot of programs, including that, as she's only begun 3 weeks, 4 weeks, roughly a month, maybe a month. So that she has to get acclimated to the programs because the other one was working on it. It's not up and running yet, but it will be. Our goal is to have it by the end of the year.
The reason I ask is for those of us who don't have, my kids doesn't have a phone. And when they're home 45 minutes late and I find out after they get home. The bus was 45 minutes late. It gives, it just, it makes us worry. It's a bus, and that would really be helpful.
Understood. And I know Mr. Gosselin keeps asking about it as well, and we are looking into it. Absolutely. We are absolutely looking into it.
The second question I have is on the calendar timeline. When does the district start looking at the calendar for the following year, and when can parents expect that calendar to be?
So I have I have a draft. I usually wait for Bergen County schools first, because I try to match it up to see where Bergen County and Bergen Tech, so we have a lot of students who go there as well. And then if you have a sibling in this district, you want it to match as close as possible. So we're doing that, and taking the notes of parents who call up or make statements like that, so we can be accommodating. I have a draft. We'll be reviewing it again for a second set of eyes, because I just want to make sure, and then I'll present it to the union to make sure. And then usually with the board, I send it several copies and say, these are some options. Depending on how far into June you'd like to go, these are the options.
By what, March, April?
Hopefully by March it's done, but we do, sometimes there's corrections that have to be made, but hopefully by March 1st we'll have a meeting. I know a lot of districts are starting to adopt them now, so within the month.
And I know that there was a voicemail that just hit my phone. I imagine that has to do with the block schedule meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier there will be language support. Can you just elaborate
Sure,
on
we'll
what
have
language support there will be for parents?
There will be language support in Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Russian, and Arabic there to assist and explain some things to the parents who have questions.
And this would be the final meeting for parents to come as a group to hear a presentation.
So we will be, we'll be accepting some questions, and we answer as many as we can. We'll also be producing a fact sheet that will be sent out. And if there is need for another meeting, we'll do another meeting as well. We want to make sure it's a smooth transition if we're going, how we would do things and what we need to do. We're learning every day, and we meet regularly every week. A team of special education, buildings and grounds, the police department. I know I've spoken to the mayor about it because it impacts our community as well, crossing guards, teachers, students, parents, administratively. The food service company has been involved with conversations. Who else? I know Mr. Simons has been there, Representative.
Security's been there.
Security has been there. I mean, we have everybody. We want to see if we can cover as much as possible. So tomorrow, when parents come in, they'll have a QR code. The QR code will be able to download all those questions that they put in, but we'll be doing them when we start the meeting in translation, so everyone is aware of how to access information and how to ask those questions in any languages.
Will we report this meeting so that parents who cannot join has the opportunity to at least view it? Because this would be the last opportunity for a large group.
We'll try to record.
Q&A.
We actually didn't discuss that, but we can do that. We'll try to get someone to record it, but the slideshow will be translated into all those languages as well. So when it gets posted, it will be in all the languages that I just mentioned.
I think many parents would appreciate that option if they can't make it tomorrow night. It is 6 o'clock, and many parents, do get caught up in their commute. So thank you so much for considering that. So I have one more business. There was some inaccurate information shared on social media regarding our district's math curriculum. So I just want to clear this up. A member of the community and a board member shared earlier, or a member of the community shared a video that demonstrated a math lesson, and subsequent conversation happened online. And there were comments from the community as well as from the board member that the methodology was unacceptable, and I thought it would be important that we correct the record. Obviously, the video that was shown a methodology that's called Go Math, and it is demonstrated by a teacher that is not from our district, and that we do not currently teach this methodology in our district. So to reiterate, this video that was shared on social media is not a methodology that we are teaching in our district, nor is the teacher from our district. It's really important to know that our board actually supported back in June 2024 to replace the previous Go Math curriculum with Savvy Realized Math program for K-4, after we received updates from the state to update our math standards and curriculum. We also voted subsequently in August last year to approve the district's 5-year curriculum cycle. So we wanted to just remind parents that if they have any concerns, we urge you to continue to fact check with the staff member as well as district supervisors to get correct information. After all, they do have the most current and updated information. And I wanted to just commend our staff and administration, including the math teachers, who are working extra hard to implement and update our math curriculum that we as a board voted unanimously to support. And thanks for making our math program a standout program, an excellent program. Thank you for all our teachers and staff.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Did you say a board member put up false information on social media? Did I hear you right?
No,
No.
it was the member of a community who shared a video.
Uh-huh.
It was then discussed in the comments that this is an unacceptable curriculum or math teaching by a board member.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'd like to.
and that's inaccurate.
Right.
That is not a methodology we're teaching. So the focus here is that we are not teaching this methodology.
Okay, yeah, so I'm the board member, I'm the mystery board member. And I'd like to just address it since you've decided to do so. So somebody posted a video of methodology, as you stated, how to solve a subtraction problem. So back in the day when I was taking math, we would take the number that we were going to subtract from, and we would put it on the top. And then we would take the other number, and we would just put it like right under it, right? And then we would do the math. We do two sides, do the math, and we'd be left with the answer. The video that someone posted, not me, but they posted in my group where I allow the community to post, because it's free speech, I allow them to post whatever they want, pretty much, as long as there are other people. Somebody did post a video suggesting that the methodology used in the video was being taught here in Fort Lee. Turns out it is. Okay, so let's dig a little deep into what you just had to say, since you're the math expert and you're on the curriculum policy committee and everything else. You're obviously the expert here. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we're using a system called onboard math. Is that correct? Something along those lines. So we're using that. Turns out it uses the same exact methodology. I actually have pages and pages of math homework for both my child. Okay, so I've seen that personally in my home. And then also, there's actually a member of the community present now who has also spoken about this and has also shared some science with me. So I understand, like, we want to protect, like, our math teachers, great. We voted on this curriculum, everything else. But I just want to be clear. If somebody at any point in the community doesn't feel comfortable about something, they should feel comfortable coming forward. I don't think that I should be creating an environment on my page where people feel uncomfortable coming forward with things that they are concerned about. As far as the board members' comments, I did make a comment. And I said that as far as I'm concerned, as a parent of a special needs second grade student, that as far as I'm concerned, it's not acceptable. That specific methodology. Now, I had a conversation with Dr. Kravitz last meeting, very brief on the light sidebar, where I addressed my concerns. My concerns are, I want to teach subtraction, like how all the parents know it, how we all learned it, right? I asked, why are we doing this weird table when we're doing 100 graph? And I got a great answer. The answer is because we're trying to align with the law, with the standard, right? We're trying to align with the standard. And I understand that, I agree with that. Had a conversation with Dr. Kravitz. Dr. Kravitz, please stop me. I'm sure Lester will tackle me right now if I say the wrong thing. I believe you said that you were in the process of discussing ways that those standards could be met in other ways. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So just to wrap all this up, Yes, I did on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, say that I do not like that specific methodology of teaching math. I stand by that. I also encourage anyone from the community who wants to share their feelings about things to continue doing so on my page and not to let someone from the Board of Ed bully you into thinking that you don't have a right to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
So I-
Any new,
I-
no. Oh, sorry, I thought you were, go ahead.
But I believe 24 minus 12 is 2, 4 with a little negative sign and 12. And you draw a line underneath it and you get 12. We don't have to do 24 is 2 10s plus 4 1s and all of that.
Well, according
Anyway,
to the state standards, you do, so moving on. Any new business?
No, that is, I just wanted to say that's the quickest, easiest, and like for my simple mind to learn it. I'm also the parent of an autistic child who successfully navigated and was supported in the Fort Lee public school system from age 3 and up. And so whatever we could do, I don't think it's a one-day kind of thing for autism or 1 week autism awareness. I've lived and breathed like lots of what was described. And I think we need to make it a very high priority, like schools should be blue, and seminars and assemblies and everything else. It doesn't have to be limited to autism, but what was described at this point in time is like kind of very disturbing to me, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think some of our budget, whatever it takes to culturally and attitudinally change children and make them more receptive should absolutely be done. I'm delighted. I just looked very quickly on the committee assignments and I see that I'm on policy. As all of this stuff was brewing about excuse days and midterms and everything else, I went back to the policy. I find it, you need to have a PhD and outside counsel in order to understand it. And I think that the policy committee should meet and make it more user-friendly, the 1520 that was referenced. I think we could do a better job so parents don't have to come and scratch their heads and wonder what's happening. I also think the policy committee should be taking up, I raised it last year, the cell phone policy. Our legislature is seriously looking at this. Other districts, Ramsey and others, are way ahead. They're going to have influence on the ultimate policy that the legislature enacts. And I think we should be weighing in as a board as to what we think is appropriate in our community. Otherwise, we're going to have a policy crammed down on us that people might not be happy about. So I would ask that the policy committee, we have a meeting as soon as possible. And then lastly, on block scheduling, I understand it has a lot of traction. People think it's a fait accompli. I would just ask, right now, I've heard from a number of parents that during midterms, and we do midterms and we do finals, and we approved, I think the early dismiss, maybe something was on where, and so there are students who actually don't have to show up for school certain days because of their personal schedules. And I just want to make sure, I would think that that would be impacted even more as if right now, if you have a class on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the class doesn't meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you don't have to show up. I want to make sure that our new program is not going to run afoul of the requirement that every student show up for 180 days. Because I know students right now, because of the midterm schedule, that are not showing up for at least 4 days. I don't know if they're not showing up, how they get the attendance and how they meet the 180 days. So as we look at changing the schedule, I would just like to have you focus and make sure from a statutory standpoint, our students will meet the 180 days.
So
I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just sensitizing and putting it on your radar screen. If I can make the meeting to learn more about block scheduling. I wasn't in any committee meeting where it was discussed. I understand it's 12 minutes being added or something. I learned from other people. I don't think I was ever invited to a committee meeting where it was, but that's okay. I can do my homework and learn. The amount of time for each class is not substantial. What is though is how it's going to impact, like you said, custodians. All kids except maybe freshmen are going to be like running, I don't want to say running wild, but we've got to clean those rooms after they sit in them all at once. And we're already, I think we've trimmed our custodial staff to like the bare bones, it seems. So I just want to make sure that the 180 days and students who don't have to show up for 3 or 4 or 5 days during finals and midterms still meet the statutory requirements. That's it. And I'll speak to you offline on it.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, I just have two things for, so one, the young lady who mentioned, the holiday that Eid, recognizing that. I just think it's really important that we do that. I mean, we've discussed it, a couple of years, and I know it seems to be appetite here. I think it would be a really great thing. I'd like to make that one of our goals this year. I think it would be a really, really, really nice thing. But the other thing I wanted to address, and I know that, this is the policy. So I've heard some folks complaining about the fact that after 2 days of an absence, the doctor's note is required. And that's something that I have some concerns about. And I think my primary concern isn't so much for folks like me who've got insurance and I can get my kid's Dr. Elkis here in about 30 seconds, she's here. That's not a problem. A lot of people just don't have that kind of access to medicine. A lot of people, and that concerns me. And I think 2 days is a little short period of time to require someone to take off of work, go to the doctor, get all that stuff done. So I'd like to request that our policy committee might bring that up in a future meeting to see if we could, I would feel comfortable with like 3 or 4 days, but it's something that the committee is talking about, and I think it's something that we can do to make folks' lives a lot easier. That's it.
Okay. I just want to point out, it was brought to the policy committee last year by the administration at the high school because attendance was an issue. And everyone in this room, with the exception of Ms. Morel and Mr. Lopez, voted on that policy to go through. So I think we need input from the administration on the absence issues because that's why it was brought to us to begin with.
Well, at the committee level, it was hotly contested. I was not in favor, as everyone will recall, of a note after 2 days. But once I was outvoted at the committee level, I wasn't going to make some put a stake in the ground at a public meeting. I had the reservations that the public is expressing. I do think to having to get a note, you have a sick child. So you either have the choice, you have to go get a doctor's note or bring them to school. That is not what I view as a policy that we should have. If a child is sick, they should stay home. We want them to stay home, and we shouldn't require parents who might be the only parent to also drag the child to get a note. I think 2 days is too short of a period of time. I expressed it at the committee. My position remains the same, and that's why I asked that a committee meeting be scheduled for 5220.
Anything else? New business? Okay, motion to adjourn? Motion Rubino, second Morel. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good night.